Hi, third graders. It's Miss Greer. If you scanned this code, it means you are wanting some help with Balance It Level 3. So you are going to need your Balance It packet and a pencil. Go ahead and open up to Level 3. And I'm not going to give you the answers, but I am going to give you some tips in case you are stuck. So let's look at number 1. How much does the rat weigh? I see the rat on one side of my scale, and on the other side I see 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. So if I were to use my fraction pieces, I know that a blue square is 1/4. So 3 blue squares would be 3/4. And I need 3 of those. 1, 2, 3. Let's see if I have enough pieces to see what that would look like. 1, 2, 3. And 1. Now that's all the pieces I have, but I can solve that problem. I know that a green rectangle is the same as 2 blue squares, so I'm going to use this to represent 2 blue squares. So now I have all of my pieces that represent 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, and I have to see how much that is all put together. So for example, I know that 4/4, that's 1 whole, so I can slide that away. I might even make a note to myself, 1 whole. And now I have this left. So if you can try adding that to the 1 whole, I think you're on the right track. So there's my hint for number 1. Let's look at number 2. How many pounds must you add to the left side to balance the board? Well, the left side has 7 1/4 tons. The right side has 8 tons. I know that anytime I see Einstein pop up in a packet, he's giving us an important tip. He's telling us here, remember that there are 2,000 pounds in a ton. So I'm going to need to keep that in mind. So 8 tons, 7 1/4 tons. I need to figure out how much do I need to add to this side of the board. I know that in order to go from 7 1/4 to 8, that I need to add 3 more fourths of a ton. However, the question doesn't ask me about how many tons I need to add. It asks me how many pounds. So 3/4 tons equals how many pounds? That's what you're trying to figure out. And remember that 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. So how much would 3/4 of a ton be? All right, let's move on to a tip for number 3. Number 3 says, how much weight would you remove from the left side to balance the board? I'm going to circle the word remove because that's different from some of the other problems. How much would I remove from the left side to balance the board? If I'm removing from the left side, that tells me that the left side is heavier than the right. So I have 3 1/4 pounds, 3 1/8 pounds. The 3's cancel out. And now I have a 1/4 and an 1/8. So I need to figure out how much do I remove from 1/4 to get to 1/8. I'm going to use my fraction pieces to help me. If I take a blue square, which is 1/4, and a tan rectangle, which represents 1/8, I need to figure out how much do I have to remove from this blue square to make it equal 1/8. If I can figure that out, I'll have my answer. Let's move on to a hint for number 4. Number 4 says, what part of a pie must be added to the left side to balance the board? So over here, I have a half of a pie. I'm going to go ahead and get out my green triangle or my green rectangle that represents 1/2. Over here, I have a 1/16 of a pie. The smallest piece I have is an 1/8. What would a 1/16 be? A 1/16 is half of an 1/8. So now, if I have 1/16 of a pie, and you can bend one of your tan rectangles if you want, how many of these would I have to add to this side to balance it? So I have 1. How many would I have to add to balance it? And your answer will be in 1/16. The last question in level 5 says, a 70-pound child wants to balance on a seesaw with a 140-pound adult. If the child sits at the end of the board, where should the adult sit to balance the board? I'm going to start by labeling the information that I know. I know the adult is 140 pounds. I know the child is 70 pounds. So I need to think, what fraction is 70 of 140? What fraction would that represent? Because that's the fraction of this part of the board Einstein would need to sit on. So see if you can figure that out. And good luck finishing level 3.